All right, Saturday, 8:30 a.m. Combing through model guidance right now. The 12 Zulu or 7 a.m. model guidance is coming down as we speak. So this is really a good time for this video because fresh data is coming in. And, to me, what really screams out here is that snow totals may have to be cut down, especially from the Twin Cities metro on east. And not because we have a lack of moisture, but because we may be dealing with a mixture of rain, freezing rain, some sleet during the onset of the storm system, and it could easily hang on longer than expected. So I am expecting precipitation to break out. In fact, let's look at it right now. This is the NamNest computer model guidance. And let's just go through the time and look at this pink area that moves in, pink and green area that moves into the Twin Cities during the early afternoon hours. So this is at about 2 p.m. That's when I expect the onslaught of precipitation to move right into the Twin Cities metro and the I-94 corridor. And you can see how that green and pink area, of course, that's the mixture of rain, ice pellets, freezing rain, how it's hanging on in a weird way. Now, if this changes over quicker, which is certainly possible, we'll have to see how the dynamics play out here. We could get what's called a cooling or dynamic cooling in our atmosphere, which means that the atmosphere could cool quicker than expected and quicker than the model guidance is expecting. And if that happens, then we will keep snow totals where they're at. But you're going to see in my snow totals output, I'm dropping them just a little bit in the Twin Cities metro on east. But anyway, this mixed bag of precipitation should change all snow by about 6 p.m. this evening, if not a little sooner. We'll see. And then it snows throughout the evening and into the overnight hours until about sunrise tomorrow. This is the expected radar summary and precipitation outlook for about 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. You can see the Twin Cities. The snow starts to let up now by that time. And then in western Wisconsin, the Eau Claire area by about 8 or 9 in the morning. Okay, so that's the way that's looking. Now let's just look at the storm from up above, from a satellite loop, and it's a beautiful looking storm system. This is what we call the water vapor imagery from satellite, and we're looking down on this storm system. And of course, these orange areas are higher clouds that have high moisture content. So you can see this storm system is not lacking any moisture. Moisture streaming up from Arkansas, Missouri on north. And you see kind of a comma shape now developing with the moisture. That's important because this storm system is intensifying as we speak. And you can see where the twist in the low is located right now. It's right over northeastern Kansas this morning, and a significant slug of moisture now moving up into northern Iowa, southern Minnesota, and eastern South Dakota. And of course, some of that's snow, some of that is rain. But what we need to understand is that this is a heavy, it's got a heavy amount of moisture in this storm system. So we are not lacking moisture. We're just playing with that 32-degree Fahrenheit line and that rain snow line. And we're going to be dealing with that here throughout the late morning and afternoon hours in our region before everything changes to snow. But beautiful looking storm from a water vapor loop imagery. All right, here's the infrared imagery. Now, of course, we're measuring the cloud temperatures in our atmosphere, and these oranges and reds and yellows, these are colder cloud tops, usually indicative of clouds that are dropping moisture. And again, we're not lacking moisture here, and we're not lacking cloud intensity, as these clouds seem to be increasing in intensity now, which means they're getting colder over western Iowa, eastern South Dakota, and southwestern Minnesota. And you can also see here in eastern North Dakota, northwestern Minnesota, we're starting to lose a little bit of punch up there. But this secondary area or secondary surge of moisture is now starting to take over with this storm system. And again, you can see a twist now starting to develop in the atmosphere over northeastern Kansas. This is that intensifying low pressure system. And when it does start precipitating here in our region over eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin, it is going to come down at a heavy rate, and it's going to quickly start to come down at a heavy rate. So that is this storm's going to hit with a hard punch right off the bat, and that'll be early this afternoon, somewhere between noon and 3 p.m. All right, radar summary. And let's put it into motion. This is the radar over the upper Midwest, and moisture streaming up from Arkansas through Missouri up into Iowa, and then all the way up north in the northwest back into eastern North Dakota. This is significant precipitation, and we're looking at that twist developing over northeastern Kansas now. That's the low pressure system that's going to move east-northeast through eastern Iowa and southern Wisconsin. And this precipitation shield that you see over northwestern Iowa and eastern South Dakota, it'll eventually start to wrap around this low pressure system. That's what we call the deformation axis, and it's in that axis is where the heaviest snow usually falls. And I expect that axis to develop right over southwestern and west central Minnesota, and then extending east to near the St. Cloud area before the storm system loses a little bit of punch later this evening, but still a healthy area of snow that will then extend east from St. Cloud through the Twin Cities and then into northern Wisconsin. But what this radar is showing, this regional radar is showing that we are not hurting for moisture in our atmosphere as it streams north. And then now here's the Twin Cities radar. No doubt, snow, rain, ice streaming north. There's ice being reported across the I-90 corridor from Worthington now on east to near Albert Lea. That ice area and rain, sleet, snow mixture is going to continue to stream north, and I do expect this precipitation shield to approach the southern Twin Cities metro and the I-90 corridor between about 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. And like I had mentioned, when it hits, it's going to hit hard, and the precipitation will fall at a pretty good clip. And then eventually that precipitation shield will make it into western Wisconsin so that the Eau Claire area and Rice Lake starts receiving that precipitation by mid-afternoon. But yeah, this rain and snow is streaming north and sometimes even pivoting now a little bit northwest. And it will be interesting to see where that deformation axis develops as the day and evening goes on. Here's Des Moines radar. Pretty much all of Iowa now, at least the southwestern two-thirds of Iowa now being inundated with rain. This is all rain in Iowa right now, and that is streaming north towards southern Minnesota, towards Albert Lea, Rochester, the Twin Cities, and that will continue through the late morning and early afternoon hours. All right, let's get to the potential snow graphics now. This is from the NamNest computer model. I'm going to show you two snow forecasts from the NamNest computer model and then the European computer model. And you can see that by this evening, I'm expecting by about 6 or 7 this evening, I'm expecting at least a couple inches of snow in the Twin Cities metro. The snow is going to take its time developing over northeastern Minnesota, northwestern Wisconsin. But the I-94 corridor from Eau Claire on west to the Twin Cities should have at least an inch or two of snow on the ground by 6 p.m. this evening. And then you can see the snow continues throughout the evening so that at least a solid, now this is the NamNest computer model guidance, but the NamNest is showing a solid 5 to 8 inches of snow from the Twin Cities metro on west into western Minnesota with the bullseye near Alexandria and Fergus Falls. And then as you see, as we go on east, I think the storm does lose a little bit of its punch, not only because of a rain-snow mixture, but just eventually the storm system has to go through a weakening phase, and I think that will happen late tonight and into tomorrow morning, so that snow totals will not be as heavy in Wisconsin as they are in western Minnesota. And the European computer model guidance shows the same thing, so that by Monday evening you can see, in fact, let's just go by so that by Monday morning, you can see the bullseye of snow will be west of the Twin Cities. So anywhere from Marshall and Redwood Falls, Minnesota on north to near Bemidji, Minnesota, that's going to be that bullseye where in excess of 10 inches of snow falls. And then here you see this kind of weird area where snow totals drop in eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. That's due to some dry air, but more importantly, a mixture of rain, sleet, and snow will cut into the snow totals over eastern Minnesota. I'm still expecting a solid 5 to 7 inches of snow across the Twin Cities metro. but not that 7 to 9 inches of snow that was previously expected. And it has to do with a mixture coming into our atmosphere that's going to cut down on the snow totals during the onslaught of this storm system. All right, let's get to the Novak weather snow outlook. And here it is. I do expect that bullseye out west of the Twin Cities over western Minnesota. And then you can see a finger of heavy snow, a fairly wide swath finger of heavy snow will extend east through the Twin Cities metro, especially the core metro on north, and then continuing east into north central Wisconsin. I'm expecting a solid 6 to 7 inches of snow in this corridor. And as you go further southeast, maybe even into Dakota County, I think that the ice and mixture is going to cut into snow totals, and there should be a sharp gradient in these snow totals between Dakota County and the southern Twin Cities metro on south to Rochester, where the Rochester area may only receive 2 to 3 inches of snow, but then the Twin Cities metro area gets that 6 to 8 inches of snow. So a good 4 to 6 inch snow gradient from Rochester to the Twin Cities. And that snow gradient also is going to set up near the Eau Claire area in western Wisconsin. So the ice mix is a big problem with this storm system, and how it plays out this afternoon still remains to be seen. We'll be updating you this afternoon as the precipitation starts flying. We'll update you with what we expect, but this is a moving target as we speak, and it's a difficult forecast.